This is the final debrief and share out for the large group that will likely be in an auditorium or a gymnasium. Start by addressing all the team together. Team, this has been an amazing few days. We've brought you here together because we have some exciting news. We've got a break in the case, and I wanted to make sure you all have this information before we close out the day. Please know that I'm waiting on a phone call from the hospital, so if at any point my phone rings, I have to take the call. Let's take a moment and review. Zoology team. First, let's review what we know. Can anyone here that served as a zoology officer tell me about the animal bites, the insect marks, and share with all of us what was found embedded in this poor woman's neck? Yeah, the scary part is this creature isn't an insect at all. And how do we know this? Exactly, it has 8 legs, making it a member of the spider family, or better known as an arachnid. It's a tick, isn't it? Now, answer this question for me. How do arachnids kill their prey? Exactly, they inject venom. And what disease do you get from ticks? So, the question then is, what are the symptoms of Lyme disease? Exactly, Lyme disease symptoms include a raised red mark that often looks like a bullseye, sweating, muscle fatigue, and we learned this, in advanced cases, it can lead to unconsciousness and even death. But the medical team, not to be overlooked, I'd like to say that this woman is okay, but that's far from true, isn't it? She's suffering from a number of broken bones, am I correct? Would you please share with the team what you know about her arm? And do you know the names of the bones? The ulna and radius, yes. And what kind of break did she suffer? A telescopic break, yes. Meaning that the bones passed each other at the time of impact. But that also tells that this damage was caused as a result of a fall. Impact trauma, right? That's when a person is struck. But there's evidence on both sides of the body, like from the side where you hit to where you might land. Blunt trauma, however, usually only shows signs of injury to one side of the body. And the evidence here suggests that we're dealing with blunt trauma, likely the result of a fall. And if this were her only injury, it'd still be serious, but unfortunately it gets worse. She also has a broken clavicle, also known as the collarbone. Painful, yes. However, someone was telling me, who was that? Exactly, it's the easiest bone to break in the entire body. Can someone share what they know? Alright, now we get to the big one. What other bone is broken? The femur, which is what? Yeah, the largest and strongest bone in the entire body. In fact, it takes 1,200 pounds of pressure to break the femur. And this thing wasn't simply broken, it was shattered. However, broken bones isn't this woman's only problem. Once we identified the creature embedded in her neck was a deer tick, we brought in a Lyme disease test kit, and we've run this test twice, and this woman has perhaps the most advanced case of Lyme disease that I've ever seen. And someone tell us, what are the symptoms for Lyme disease? And the symptoms, of course, would include numbness, loss of muscle tone, there should be sweating, there should be the bullseye mark, and not to forget that lack of muscle control and unconsciousness in advanced stages. We're associating the fall with a lack of muscle coordination and then, upon injury, falling into the unconscious state. Moving on, however, to the ecology team with the water. First off, ecology team, I owe all of you an apology. I was certain that her situation was related to the water, probably because of my own experience. But good science forces us to rely upon evidence, not gut reaction. And because you've done this so well, I believe that we have solved this case. I mean, tell everybody about the water, or should I say the liquid that you found in her drinking bottle. First, you ran a bacteria test, and what were the results? Exactly, nothing. And then we ran a nitrate and a nitrite test. Same, some readings, but nothing to be concerned about. Then you used the TDS meter, and to my surprise and amazement, this told us that the water is actually clear enough to drink. So it's not that you've confirmed that there was something in the water that could have hurt her. you've determined that it's actually safe to drink. So in other words, this is the cleanest dirty water that you could hope to drink. Is there anything else that you'd like the group to know about your work or your findings? All right, then, moving on to the CSI team. We made the right decision having you put on the protective wares. I mean, tell the team what happened when you added water to that powdered chemical. So, because it foamed up and began popping and sizzling, we know that we are dealing with a reactive chemical. And reactive chemicals, however, they fall into one of two categories, making it either an acid or a base. Can any member of the CSI team explain to the group the difference between the two? Acids burn from the outside in. Like lemon juice getting in your cut, it kills, doesn't it? But bases affect an impact from the inside out. Kind of like countertop cleaners, or like bee killer or wasp spray. The tests that were run at CSI have proven beyond a doubt that we're dealing with a base. And we've been using a centrifuge to separate the chemical from the liquid, and then we use the base and the ion peaks to identify it using our chemical library, and we now know the name of the chemical. It's called DDT, or dichloro-diphenyl trichloroethane. Crazy part is that this chemical was banned in 1972 because of its negative impacts upon large bird populations, such as the bald eagle and the peregrine falcon. Now, tell me though, what is this stuff and what was it used for? It was used to combat malaria and the extinction of mosquitoes. The concern that Agent Rab and I have is that this is a banned chemical, and one of two things have just happened with our investigation. Number one, it's turned into a criminal case in nature because this person has a banned or a controlled substance. Or, number two, she has the authority to have it, which is then a huge clue for all of us. So, with the information that you made available to us, we began making some decisions. If the chemical is being used for commercial purposes, then the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, they'll know which local company is using it, and therefore we simply contact the firm and determine if anyone has been sick or missing for the past 72 hours. If, however, the chemical is being used for educational purposes or for research, then the DEC, the Department of Environmental Conservation, will be involved and again can give us the necessary information. So, Agent Rab has been calling the EPA, and I have contacted the DEC, and guess what we found out? The Syracuse University School of Forestry has been missing one of their graduate students for a few days. Her name is Julie Bridges, and she's been doing research on the resurgence of the peregrine falcon, which is an interesting segue to the geography team. We know that this woman moved around a lot within New York State. The app on the iPad, it's pretty cool, isn't it? Alright, so geography team, tell everyone, where is the first location that you were able to identify? Exactly, and what details can you share about Mount Marcy? But the second location was the Albany State Capitol, followed by some movie theater called Proctor's, and then Utica, which the app didn't work, but how did you know that it was Utica? Exactly, the clock and the name. And then the Syracuse Carrier Dome, and then the Rochester Times Square building has a live feed for some nesting peregrine falcons. And ultimately, we found her outside of Letchworth State Park, where she was found unconscious. At this point, your telephone should ring, or my hope is that you've set an alarm on your clock so that you have to answer your phone, and now you're having a fake conversation with Dr. Mason from the hospital. So, the victim is conscious after administering heavy doses of antibiotics used to combat the effects of Lyme disease. But we have a few names, Dr. Mason. Is her name Julie Bridges? It is. Can you ask her if she's a graduate student from Syracuse University? She is. Is it alright if I share all these details with my team? Excellent. Dr. Mason, thank you. Please give her our best and tell her that we're hoping for a speedy recovery. Yes, thank you, Dr. Mason. Wait, what's that? Oh, yes, we still have our large police dog, Oakley. Uh-huh. Oh, yes, he still wears his big red collar. Yep. Thank you, Dr. Mason. Yes, sir. Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, these are just some final thoughts to share with you. She's going to make a full recovery, but I've just got to bring this to your attention. The piece of evidence that really turned this case for me was that deer hair and the tick. And I've kept asking myself, if she's up so high inspecting bird nests, how did she get Lyme disease? Has anyone ever brushed out their dog in the backyard? Yeah, and what happens to all of the hair and the fur that's all over the place? Exactly, the birds come and they grab it for their nests. Deer hair would then likely have deer ticks, and A plus B equals C. This is the transmission. It's complete. The deer tick was introduced by the deer hair. We have a young woman named Julie Bridges who's been working with DDT to determine its impact upon the peregrine falcon. She apparently fell while inspecting a nest, resulting in several broken bones. We know that she used the Erie Canal as her mode of transportation, and furthermore, we now know she was drinking water. Appears dirty, but scientifically speaking, it's clean. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if you're understanding everything that's taken place here this afternoon, but it's my honor and privilege to declare that you have indeed solved this case. Give yourselves a huge round of applause. And also realize that none of this would have happened without the dedication of your teachers. This case is no longer considered classified, so you are free to discuss details later. But unfortunately, we have to move out. We've already been asked to join a new investigation taking place in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So we've got to go. At this point, give your thank yous, make your waves, say adieu, and off you go. It's best to exit the classroom or the auditorium before you become captive to dozens of questions and chatter that could keep you there for another half an hour. Just a few insights from us to you.